My name is Kyla Colvin. You're listening to a special edition story with Sir Wayne Smith, and this is the Hunger and Heart Podcast. Enjoy the show. Hello, my name is Kyla Colvin, and welcome to episode 25 of Hunger and Heart, a podcast on the intersection of wild ambition and fierce compassion. For today's episode, we're doing something a little bit different. We are collaborating with the Crusaders Leadership Programme. On the Crusaders Leadership Programme, participants get to experience 2 live 1-hour Ask Me Anything sessions with our faculty. Our faculty include Kieran Reed, Robbie Deans, Sam Whitelock, and Sir Wayne Smith. So for today's episode, we're pulling a clip from one of those Ask Me Anything sessions where Smithy talks about his experience coaching the Kobelco Steelers, the rugby team for the Kobe Steel Company in Japan. It is an extraordinary story. He arrived to a team that had lost its connection, that was complacent, that was entitled, and he turned it around in the most profound way, going back into the company's history to find something they could play for that was bigger than them. There's so many lessons in this story that I think apply to anyone who's interested in theming specifically, but also is interested in culture building more broadly and how we connect culture to the bigger picture of the world around us. It's a beautiful story. It's just 10 minutes. I can't wait for you to hear it. Enjoy.
I took over Kobe Steel Rugby in Japan 2018. It had started in 1923. It was the oldest club in Japan, had the most titles under its belt, but they hadn't won for 18 years. It had lost its fan base, not all the fan base, but there was a disconnection with the players who'd been, the old players that had been through that era. There's a disconnection with them, disconnection with community, an entitlement from some of the players, particularly the foreign players. My first year, I told everyone at the club that we were going to start pre-season on April the 1st. I was getting calls from foreign players, the stars, to ask me when they wanted them back. I said, well, the 1st of April, same as everyone else. Oh, but Smithy, we don't normally come in until, a couple of months later, close to the competition. I said, well, if you want to keep your contract, you come in on the 1st of April because we've got to try and get this club going again. And so what I did, I looked at the past and I knew nothing about them really, but I got a group around us. I got the Kantoku, the guy who was in charge, worked for the company. A lot of the staff worked for the Kobe Steel Company, and the lack of success occurred since the Henshin earthquake in 1995, which destroyed the city, destroyed the company buildings, the number 3 blast furnace that provided steel for 80%, I think, of the world's automotive industry for steel springs, car springs. They provide all the metal for Toyota. The company was going to dissolve if it couldn't be fixed within 67 days. The blast furnace was damaged. It was still full of iron ore at 1,500 degrees Celsius and carbon dioxide gas. There was 6,500 deaths, I think, in the city. Most of the staff were living in a refugee camp, but they kept coming to work. They kept coming because they wanted to keep the company alive. The chief executive made some bold decisions. He decided to get a Kobelco digger, put a bit of reinforcement on the front, had an oxygen hose coming in through the window, had a bloke who would stand on the back holding the hose so it didn't get caught up in the machinery, and they were going to grab all this iron ore out of this molten ore out so they could fix the blast furnace. Problem was all the digger drivers that worked for the company ran for the hills. No one was going to get in that cab. A young guy from Osaka, Hideki Tanaka, he came and saw the company. He didn't work for the company. He came and saw the company. Said, I'll drive that Kubota digger and do that. They did that. They got down the bottom. Most of it was solidified. Once they got to the bottom, they had to use gelignite to get it out. Within 67 days, they had the blast furnace back operating. that's what we focused on. Every photo that you see of Kobe during the earthquake, most of the photos have Kobe Steel Company, the blast furnace in the photo, because it failed to bow to the earthquake. And so we created a vision, a steelworkers code, a set of values based on that story. We visited the company. The blast furnace actually, ironically, had just been knocked over. This was 2018. It had done its dash, but they revered it so much that they saved the flame in a lantern and they took it up to Kakagawa, to the new factory, to light the new number 3 blast furnace. They gave us the flame afterwards, so we kept it alive. We picked up bricks from the factory, from the blast furnace. Every player and every staff member took a brick home. We cleaned it. We signed the back. I pricked my finger and put a bit of blood on the back of mine because I wanted my DNA to be there in like 100 years when they test it. And we built a wall. We built a wall from the bricks. Then after about a month, by the time we'd sandpapered down our vision, we called it our We Will. And then we had our Steelworkers Code. There were 5 habits on there that created Steelworkers Code. Right, we got that sign written onto the wall. And then we did our own I Wills, what that would look like to us, put them up on the wall. And we were unbeaten right through the tournament. We played in the final up in Tokyo against Suntory, and we beat them 55-5 in the final. And it was the start of a renaissance. We won again the next year. We beat Kubota 43-7, I think, in the final. And we were unbeaten. We won 29 games in a row. And it came not from anything especially tactical or physical. It came from belief, knowing who we were, who'd been before us. We had some club nights where we were able to bring our old boys in. They started coming back. They would talk to us about their era, most successful era in history in Japanese rugby. And the personal meaning for the players became huge. It was about a club, that had sounded like it lost its roots as new generation coming through. They want to get back to what it was. And that's just an example of perhaps how that could be done. And, you often think, will a new generation buy into that? Hell yes, they'll buy into it. I come from Pataru, small town. Rugby was the only game in town when I grew up. I think football was banned. There was no rugby league. Everyone played rugby. 3 years ago, it had, I think, 45 kids registered to play. Today, it's got 220 and building because of someone who's stepped in from the community and has rebuilt it on the original roots, on getting families involved, not relying on school teachers or bringing in coaches, getting families involved, connecting with community. We started a theme of gratitude at Kobe. Kobe Steel were putting in about $33 million a year, I think, to run the thing. That they employed all the players. We had 52 players. They employed the players, paid for all the foreigners, paid airfares, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of money, and there wasn't a lot of gratitude. As I say, people were turning up late. They were entitled. Anything that they needed done, the company had to pay for. So we put a stop to that, and we started doing. When the grandstand at our club needed painting, we painted it and we turned it into a mini team competition so that you got points for which mini team painted the best. We built a dojo. I like doing our contact stuff in a dojo. So we set it up. The players had to work out, they had to cut the mats to fit and join them in together. We had a massive photocopy. We did the photocopy and we put the posters up on the wall that we wanted. We named different parts of the field, number 1 blast furnace, number 2 blast furnace, number 3 blast furnace, depending on what they were. The dojo became number 3 blast furnace because that's where the steel was forged. We built everything around that. We got out in the community. Every Wednesday morning we would go and help kids across the busy road in Kobe to school. We tried growing vegetables in gardens. It was a bit of a disaster actually, because summer's too hot over there and they all died. But I got a few tomatoes, but we were going to get them into community, into schools and that sort of things for lunches, but it didn't work. But we tried stuff. And what I found was we started to flourish through, instead of hand out all the time, we became a hand up team. Who wants to go and do that? Yeah, we'll do that. Who wants to coach those kids? Yeah, we'll go and do that. And it was great for community and it was great for the club. It was outstanding for those players, because what I'd seen was, I don't know, lack of passion, sadness. There's some mental health issues, and in any community that's catchy. If you've got people in one house like that, then the next house will probably get a bit of it as well. The blockbuster finding for me through all this was that happiness and gratitude is more contagious in a team environment. It helps you flourish as people and as players. You can't go out on the field, you can't go out into the community and talk to people about, or go to schools and talk about bullying, stand up for your mates, be where your family needs you to be. You can't do that without doing that on the field on Saturday, so it improves your performance and your mental health at the same time.
How good was that? Like the detail of it, the breadth, the layers, we're going to go all the way back to the Hanshin earthquake. We're going to go all the way back to the very beginning of this rugby team. We're going to find out what's important to us. That bit when he puts his blood on the brick to imbue it with his DNA. I mean, I can totally understand how that team completely turned around from when he arrived to when he left. The beginning, as he said, of a renaissance. Beautiful, beautiful. What a genius that man is. We are so lucky to have him contributing to the game of rugby. Hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to tune in next week for my conversation with Campbell Johnstone. See you later. Hunger and Heart is brought to you by the Crusaders Leadership Programme. Whether you're coaching under fives or a professional team, we all want the same thing: to build a culture of trust, to get the best out of your people, and to grow players into leaders. The Crusaders Leadership Program lets you get up close and personal with some of the greatest rugby legends of all time. People like Sir Wayne Smith, Sam Whitelock, Kieran Reid. You'll connect with a global group of ambitious, caring coaches from a range of codes and backgrounds. And most importantly, you'll gain skills and techniques to drive impact and outcomes for your team. The Crusaders Leadership Program is a 2-week, high-intensity virtual experience. It is delivered exclusively online, accessible from anywhere. Hunger and Heart listeners get 10% off the full price of the program. Use the code HUNGER at checkout. You can find out more about the Crusaders Leadership Program at crusadersleadership.com. That's crusadersleadership.com. Hunger and Heart is created by BOMA and the entire BOMA team, including Tito Bernal, Ray Jangle, Hannah Hudson, Johanna Coxon, Sunil Unka, and me, Kyla Colbin. Thanks for listening.